According to legend, the Shadow World created labyrinths of shadows at the end of hell. They are the ultimate labyrinths that mankind must face. Now, on a destroyed place, our main character, Desser, turns his head to see a monster that he was fighting with his teammates, which is actually a meteor-rank destruction dragon named Napolitan. While Napolitan mocks each of the warriors, Desser remembers that he has lost countless friends and lovers in this shadowy world. When Desser sees Napolitan, he tells him that his end is near. Napolitan now begins attacking them, so Desser uses his magic to analyze him and seal his dragon voice. When he seals the dragon's voice, his friends start attacking Napolitan, and after all their struggles and hardships, they defeat Napolitan. All of them sit together after defeating the dragon. Raphael, a sword saint, appreciates his teammates' efforts. Donovan Asselin, who is the king of Esteban, asks his teammates why the cleared message has not yet been broadcast. Raphael tells them that they were supposed to return to their original world after killing the dragon, but this shadowy place seems to be different because it does not follow the normal rules of the Shadow World. After Raphael asks his teammates to wait a bit, Jode Ixarian, one of their teammates who is the Tower of Magic's Sage of Wisdom, analyzes their situation and tells his teammates that out of 150 million people, only 6 survived. A girl teammate of Jode's tells him to stop making useless calculations because they won't bring the dead back. It's even more crucial that they understand what exactly went wrong. Desser smiles and says that they should be satisfied that they saved the world. She also thanks Raphael for his hard work. Raphael explains her that he played a smaller role than Desser in protecting them. Donovan also commends Desire. Jode asks Desser how he was able to do a complete analysis of the dragon's voice and be able to seal that power since he was just a 3-tier magician and even he, as a 7-tier magician, cannot completely do it. Jode appreciates his desirable talent and asks him why he is still a 3-tiered magician. Desser tells them that he is just a commoner and wasn't fully trained or educated. If he had been taught formally, he could have saved a lot more people. Jode feels bad for Desser. Seeing sadness over their faces, Raphael asks them what they will all do after they return to their world. Everyone tells how they are going to comfort the families of the deceased and return their belongings. The girl says that they should make a memorial shrine for all of the people who lived there. Jode says that he is going to research the way to stop the recurrence of the Labyrinth of Shadows because if another labyrinth of this scale occurs again, it would end the world. Raphael sees over at Lady Agest, who is sitting far away from them, and asks her what she would do. Agest does not say anything and turns her face, which makes everyone uncomfortable and confused. Raphael asks Desser what he will do since wherever he goes he will be welcomed, and Jode glances at Desser like he is telling Desser to join him. Desser was about to tell them, but suddenly, from the direction of the dragon's dead body, they hear a blast. When everyone sees at that direction, it was the dragon. They are all shocked because they were sure that they vanished the dragon, and how could it be possible that the dragon is still alive? Jode analyzes their current situation, and he got to know that it could be the dragon's heart as he read a book long ago that stated that a dragon's heart is similar to that of an engine, and it is also very similar to a mana circle. Since dragons draw in enormous amounts of mana and channel that mana throughout their bodies, they lose control of their accumulated mana when they die. It is similar to an overheated engine that would most definitely explode. They ask Jode why he hasn't told them earlier. He tells them that this is the first time in the history of humans to ever kill a dragon and that the explosion power is about to be even greater than a 7-tier spell, and now they should prepare themselves for the worst. They all began to pray but couldn't stop their deaths. They all died in the explosion, and this is how it ended for them. For dying, Desser closes his eyes, and when Desser opens his eyes he begins to shout because he has found himself in the middle of a crowd of students. He wonders how he got there because he has already died. Suddenly the academy professor named Bridget comes there and expresses her gratitude to all of the students for attending their academy. When every student saw her they began to talk about her. Professor Bridget informs them that not all of them will be accepted. They must all take a traditional entrance exam, and only the top 600 students will be accepted into their Havrian Academy. The students become nervous upon hearing this, and they begin to ask each other what the test will be about. Professor Bridget informs them that they must clear the objectives of the shadow world, but they do not need to be afraid because it is just a simulation. On the other hand, Desser, who is terrified because he returns to a time that is 13 years in the past and realizes that it has already been 10 years since he graduated from that time, and if this year is actually 3613, then in 3 years he will enter the shadow world, where he will be imprisoned for 10 years until the world is destroyed in year 3626, started to consider how all of their suffering and deaths over the previous 10 years had been for nothing. Desser began to cry on the Havrian steps, remembering the folks he had lost in his past life. Seeing him grieve, the other students ignored him because he was merely a commoner. Now, a little girl appears in front of Desser and asks him if he is Desser Armin. The short girl is Redoria von Dorich, a brilliant fur-type magician and a second-year student at Havrin. Because Desser did not go to the assigned location, Redoria went out to hunt for him. Desser apologized to Redoria, and she forgives him, telling him that she is his mentor for the day. Redoria advises Desser that he should not be concerned about the entrance exam because the simulated world is insignificant compared to the real shadow world and that this exam would merely test his abilities to enter the real shadow world. Redoria reviewed Desser and discovered that he is merely a commoner. Desser inquires if there is any difficulty in beginning as a commoner. Desser is told by Redoria that even if he is accepted into the academy, he will be placed in the beta class because he is a commoner, and those in the beta class would never receive adequate training or education. As discrimination exists in academia. The nobles are assigned to the alpha class, while the commoners are placed in the beta class. Even if a student is exceptionally talented, if they are a commoner, they will be forever discriminated against in this academy. Now on their way. When Redoria inquires about the shadow world, Desser responds, yes, he does. Redoria asks him again since he won't be allowed to access the shadow world if he doesn't know about it. Redoria informs Desser that even if this is merely a shadow world, it is still dangerous. When Desser is asked about the shadow world, Desser, based on his previous experiences, he tells her everything. After hearing Desser, Redoria was indeed astounded. She tells him that the shadow world is managed by 2 different places, one of which is Havrian and the other is the Western Kingdom. Both of these places are rivals and try to gather as many of the magical artifacts found within the shadow world as possible, and because they are members of Havrian Academy, they are obligated to take part in this competition. There are other factions, such as the Outsiders, but Redoria does not inform Desser about them. Redoria now asks Desser as to what it takes to complete the mission in the shadow world. Desser simply tells her that because it is a parallel world, past events repeat themselves within the shadow world. All they need to do is stop or start those events by directly infiltrating the shadow world, and to defeat the shadow world, you must first complete the objectives. That is why everyone is preparing themselves as best they can. Redoria compliments Desser on his knowledge and tells him if he is this knowledgeable so she doesn't have to tell him anything else. They both went to the main building of Havrian. Redoria notices that Desser does not seem impressed by the location. Desser tells her that he has been to a similar location before, but Redoria does not believe him. On their way, Redoria encounters her rival Alfheim, a water-type magician. Midoriya does not get along with him because he is a fire magician, but their personalities are also incompatible. Alfheim mocks Midoriya for arriving late, and the two begin to argue and mock each other. Alfheim inquires if Desser is Midoriya's mentee and inquires about his name. Desser responds positively and tells Alfheim his name. However, when Alfheim discovers that Desser is only a commoner, he begins to insult Midoriya and advises her that the match is already over because they are in the same group. Other than Alfheim and Midoriya's ments, there are two more ments who are not commoners in the group. That is why her mentee will undoubtedly fail in the lineup. Midoriya tells him that there is no certainty that Desire will fail. Alfheim tells her to stop joking because it is impossible for a commoner, whereas his mentee is a magical swordsman, which astounds Midoriya, asks Alfheim mentee for her name. The Alfheim mentee is revealed to be a jest, the same girl from Desser's previous life. Midoriya studies a jest and discovers that she is a three-tiered ice elemental magic swordsman who uses vision magic and is superior to most knights in the academy, indicating that there is a significant difference between Desser and a jest. Alfheim laughs at Midoriya and advises Desser to give up since even if he is accepted, he will be placed in the beta class. After insulting them, Alfheim leaves the location with a jest. While they are leaving, Desser looks at a jest and smirks. Following this, the academy heads announce that the entrance exam will soon begin and requests test takers to proceed to the examination site. And that is all for today. Please like the video and subscribe for a cookie.